Now we are finally moving on to fixed blades. So this is the type of knife that I'm kind of on a kick for right now. I'm really liking fixed blades. Their simplicity, their usability, their the ease at which a person can make a fixed blade as well. So this is going to be in two groups. The first I'm going to show you is going to be production fixed blades, and the second one is going to be handmade knives, which are all made by me. So first we're going to start with one of my older fixed blades, other than the cheap crap fixed blade by Winchester. This is the Gerber LMF2, and I believe it stands for Lethal Marine Force. It's a USA made in Portland, Oregon. 420 HC, no, 440C, I think. One of those two. I believe it's 440C. Stainless steel blade with a like black nitride coating or something like that. So partially serrated. I'm pretty much a fan of plain edge blades, not serrated. Rubbery handle, pretty grippy. It's got actually pretty good balance because it has this huge pommel on the back. This skull crusher. You can also use it for a hammer. Obviously you don't do it like that. You'd stick this in the sheath and remove the sheath from all these straps and everything, and then you could hang on to the sheath and you could strike and drive nails or whatever you need to do with it. Has a built-in sharpener in the sheath, built-in carbide sharpener there. But the things that I really don't like about this knife are the grippiness of the handle and the sheath, which added together make it very difficult to remove this from the sheath, particularly if you have it on your side. I mean, to me, I should be able to remove a knife from a sheath with one hand easily, and this is not that. I have to do that in order to pull it out. I should be able to just yank on a knife or give it a little push to get it unhooked from something, but it's just too much friction with that rubber there, so I don't really like it that much. The knife is alright, but the sheath is horrible, so get rid of that. Now I'll just set out some knives to show you. Making sure I'm grabbing all of the production fixed blades first. And I think these. So I think those are all of my production fixed blades. So here we have a Grindworks neck knife. It's supposed to be a neck knife, but I don't know how you can really call it a neck knife because it comes out of the sheath way too easily. Just unhooks right here and then it just falls right out. But I got this on a discount because it's got some anomalies in the Damascus that, I don't know, it's just not, it wouldn't pass final quality control to go out to be sold at full price. But Kydex sheath, custom molded, which is personally not that great, but whatever. It was cheap. Got this one. This is a Boker Tough. I think it's Terry's Urban Fixed Blade, something like that. Uh, 440C Cocobolo handles, I think. It's a nice knife. I think it's pretty comfortable, pretty cool. The sheath is a little interesting. It's got a magnet inside. But it came with the belt loop. I take it off the belt loop and I just stick it in my pocket just like this. And it's pretty cool. Got a Condor tool and knife, Nesmuk. Scandi Ground Convex Scandi. It came bead blasted, but I buffed that out, so it's got kind of a cool finish now. And I need to resharpen it, reprofile that, because it looks kind of horrible. But there's that. Decent sheath. This one here, this is a Cold Steel GI Tanto that I modified. I stripped the blade, polished it on one side. I didn't polish it yet on the other side. It was just a test with my new buffer, or new at that point buffer. Ground off one of the guards here on the back side so you can actually choke up and use that finger choil. Squared up the spine and then rounded over the swedge. So it's a fun knife, though steel doesn't really hold much of an edge for very long, so it's cheap, 25 bucks, and it's a fun project knife. Now, one of the knives that I'm going to be doing a project on in the future will be this one. This is the Ka-Bar Becker BK4 Machax or Mashax. It's kind of like a kukri style blade, kind of like a modified modern tactical kukri with the large Becker handles. And I'm going to strip this blade and polish it, but I'm not sure when I'm going to do that. I just know that I will. Some people complain about this sheath. Personally, I actually like the sheath because it works as a dangler, and it actually has a nice little option here with this elastic band here that you can attach a fixed blade, a secondary fixed blade like a Mora. You know, Mora has this plastic sheath with that kind of belt loop hook on it. I'll just slip this right onto that elastic, and it's not going to come off, and it kind of free swings a little bit, but when it's at your side, okay, it's at your side here, you get the knife unbuckled. It just kind of hangs there. It's got enough weight in the blade that it's not going to tip over. You can easily access the blade, or for a smaller cutting task, you can reach down and pull out a Mora, and this is the 511. The new 511 with the more molded handle, and I like it. It's a pretty good knife. A little bit shorter than like a companion or the normal Moras, and it's an all plastic handle instead of having like kind of rubbery inserts in it, but it gets the job done and it works really well. Comes very, very sharp because that's what Moras are like. Next I'll show you my other Mora. This is my Mora Companion in military green. You can see it's pretty beat up because I carried this while I was working for a friend's family, and it's gotten, the sheath itself has gotten pretty scratched up and beat up, but it's surviving. I mean, it's still intact. It's still working just fine. The knife itself, it's got some residue on it still, but I buffed this blade up a bit. Squared up the spine. I did that on the other one as well. Although this one is actually a little rounded. I'm not sure why. It's either because I buffed it or because I didn't quite fully square it up. But good, comfortable handle, fairly straight. It doesn't have that hook on the end that might prevent you from using more of a reverse grip for a chest lever or something. Good knife. And for these, generally what I'll do if I'm wearing jeans, I will hook it onto the pocket, because then it hangs right about here, and it's really easy to access. And on jeans they have the kind of scooped pocket, so it can rest on the kind of horizontal portion. On 511s like this, you can hook it straight on this little pocket here, and that hangs pretty well, and it's pretty easily accessible. And I just like the height that it hangs at. Makes it, to me, a better knife, more accessible, kind of like a dangler. It takes it from being up on your belt way up here, so you have to kind of bind yourself up. Takes it down here so you can more leisurely pull it out. So, let's see. Did that. Neck knives. The first neck knife is this one right here. This is the CRKT SPEW. SPEW, it stands for Small Personal Everyday Wharncliffe. There you go. It's got G10 handles, 3D machined. This is a nice little knife. The sheath personally is a little bit loose. Again, kind of like this Grindworks, because it's trying to catch itself on the blade here. And I don't know, I don't think this one's real Kydex. I think this is a mold, just a, maybe even a cast, or yeah, more of a cast plastic instead of molded, thermo molded. So it catches on the edge here of the blade. My lighting's getting different. Close that window a little. It's messing up my lighting. Okay. So it catches on the blade here, on the sheath, and because of that, and because it's originally molded like this and then the sheath is put in, the knife is put in the sheath, it seems to get a little loose. So it's got more rattle than it should, and it just seems like it doesn't have as much retention as it should, so I don't really carry it as much anymore. Though I still like the knife. It's very comfortable. Second neck knife I got is a Kydex sheath. This is the CRKT Minimalist. It's designed by Alan Foltz, and this has a proper retention. Nice click, no rattle, and it molds around the handle. Okay, it's very good. Takes pretty good edge. I sharpen this on the Work Sharp. And I also modified the handle with the Work Sharp. I polished it up. I rounded stuff off and just generally smoothed everything out on the handle with the Work Sharp knife and tool sharpener. And it's much more comfortable now. And it fits in the hand so well. It's wonderful. Cutlery Lover was the one who basically introduced me to this, because I watched his videos on the Minimalist here and then the real Alan Foltz Minimalist, and I was curious about it, so I ended up getting one, and I was like, you know what, this is really nice, and it's just a perfect size for a neck knife. Nice and small. So small, but it fits in your hand. It retains very well in your hand because of those finger choils, and it's just a good small utility EDC knife. Next one would be the SOG Snarl, which is based off of the Brous Silent Soldier, Brous Blade Silent Soldier, but a production version. I think it's 8CR13 MOV, and it's not as high of quality, and it's a little different in design, and yeah. I ended up sharpening this at a 15-degree edge, and I can see why they don't sharpen it at that originally, but I don't know. The design is just a little weird. And the angle they had it at before was just way, way too steep, way too obtuse. And it wasn't very sharp, and to me it wasn't really useful for anything, so I ended up taking it down to this and realized maybe that was a little too much. A little too much. But it comes with a like a nylon sheath, not a Kydex sheath, but retains the knife pretty well. Nice click in there, and I have a bead chain on it. I've only worn it a couple times, but it's cool. Pretty cool. Nice thick chunk of steel, though it's still pretty light. So that's it for production blades. Now I'll get into handmade knives.